Hello students and welcome to Visual Scanning and Collision Avoidance by wifiCFI. For our lesson objective today, it is to determine that you as a student exhibit proficient knowledge of the elements related to visual scanning and collision avoidance by describing the elements on the following slide. Today we're using the Airplane Flying Handbook, Advisory Circular 9048, 90-48, and the Aeronautical Information Manual, the AIM. In our lesson today, our lesson elements are environmental conditions, the degrade vision, vestibular and visual illusions, the see and avoid concept, proper visual scanning procedure, proper clearing procedures, aircraft blind spots, and speed differentials. And then we're going to talk about some situations that have the greatest mid-air collision risk. Time frames about 55 to 65 minutes approximately between this video lesson and then the quiz back on wifiCFI.com afterwards. We're going to jump right on in with proper scanning technique. Now, this is actually pretty important, and you would think that it's not. You would think that, like, hey, all you do is you look outside the window and you look for traffic, right? However, there is a proper and a better technique than just looking anywhere when you're looking out the window. And it's this: to use short, regularly spaced eye movements, scan the area in your central focus for at least 1 second, and then utilize peripheral vision to detect movement. Okay? So if you've got your windshield right here, this is our example. You see the windshield. You're going to break it up into segments. All right? You're going to bring each segment into your central focus for at least 1 second. A lot of times what they say is scan up and down in that segment for at least 1 second before moving over to the next segment, which would be right here, and then here, and so on and so forth as you look for traffic. Example, ATC says you've got traffic at, what would this be at? November 736 Tango Bravo, there's traffic at your 9 o'clock. You would look in that general direction, right? Pick a segment of the window, look up and down, scan it, bring it into your central focus. While you're scanning that section, just be paying attention to your peripheral vision and see if you can see movement, because that's what peripheral vision is really for, and that's what it's really good at, is detecting movement and motion. This is the proper technique, and it actually does work. What we've noticed, and what me personally I've noticed after thousands and thousands of hours teaching students, is that if you do this, you do have a better chance at seeing traffic. I'll have students, sometimes new students, that will just kind of look everywhere. You know, ATC will call out traffic, or we're about to do a maneuver and they're doing their clearing turns and they're just kind of looking up, looking down, just kind of looking everywhere, but they're not doing it methodically and bringing that section into their central focus and scanning it up and down. And they have a much harder time finding traffic than if you just kind of slow down and you do it this way. And this is the way that the FAA says you should do it. It's the best way to do it, and I 100% agree with that. Next, so now we know how to look for traffic, let's talk about our general right-of-way rules. In this lesson, we're going to discuss both general right-of-way rules and situational ones. So first, general right-of-way rules. At the time of this recording, it is found in FAR 91-113. We're going to start with the aircraft that has the most right-of-way. The aircraft that has the right of way over all other aircraft is an aircraft in distress. If you're in an emergency situation, you get the right of way over everybody else. Or a distress situation, maybe you're low on fuel, whatever it is, you get right of way over all other folks. Pretty simple, right? That makes sense. And if you're up flying and you hear that there is another aircraft that's in distress, get out of their way. Don't be in the way, right? Get the heck out of the way. Let them do what they need to do to be safe. Okay? They get right away. After aircraft in distress, kind of how this works is the aircraft with the least maneuverability gets the most right of way. So if they can't control if they can't really maneuver quickly and dramatically, then they get more right of way, which makes sense. The first one is a balloon. Balloons, hot air balloons, whatever, you go up in the sky and you kind of just go where the balloon goes, right? You go where the wind takes you. Don't have a lot of control over the maneuverability of a balloon. So if there's not an aircraft in distress in the area, but there are balloons get the right of way. Next, we've got gliders. Gliders also, they have more maneuverability than a balloon, so that's why they're not above a balloon, right? But they still have some pretty limited maneuverability since they don't have an engine, no propulsion. Aircraft towing another aircraft. Like you see here, you got a Cessna or something that is going to tow a glider up into the air. They're next on the right-of-way list. Then we've got airships, and then lastly, we have airplanes and helicopters. Airplanes and helicopters obviously have the most maneuverability in the sky, so they get the least right-of-way. These are just the general rules. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the situational rules. So let's talk about a bunch of different situations of, I guess, common situations of when two aircraft are kind of converging to a point or they're getting close to each other in the sky. What should you do in those situations? Who has the right of way, and what should you do if you don't have the right of way? Okay. First one is aircraft converging to a point. So we'll talk about that see and avoid thing here in just a sec. But let's say we've got a point here. Maybe it's a VOR. Maybe it's a waypoint on a departure, a waypoint on an approach, just like a GPS waypoint en route, or it's an airport. But you got two aircraft that are converging to the same point. The aircraft to the right has the right of way. So the aircraft on the right. This aircraft over here would not have the right of way in this situation. The aircraft to the right would. All right. Now, this see and avoid concept, you're going to see this on these slides. But basically what we're saying here is pilots should always be vigilant to see and avoid other aircraft. Even if you legally have the right of way, still see and avoid. So even if you are this airplane and you have the right of way over this guy and you guys are converging to this point and you see this pilot, he or she, whatever it is not moving, they might not see you. They might not even know that you're there. So you can't just continue on and then say, oh, well, I had the right of way. Yeah, maybe, but you should also be seeing and avoiding. So if you see them, avoid them, even if you have the right of way. And that's just a general rule throughout this entire lesson, throughout your entire flying career that you should remember. Okay? But if you, in reality, in this situation, you would have the right of way, and hopefully you do both see each other and it's not a problem. Okay. Next, we have approaching head on. When aircraft are approaching head on or nearly so, each pilot shall alter course to the right. So if you see an airplane coming towards you, or whatever it is, any aircraft coming towards you, both pilots should alter course to the right to avoid each other. Okay. Overtaking another aircraft. Each aircraft that is being overtaken has the right of way, and pilots of the overtaking aircraft shall alter course to the right to pass well clear. What we're talking about here is you've got two, well, let's just take airplanes for example, but you got two airplanes that are kind of flying along the same course. Maybe you're on a Victor Airway, whatever it may be. You're flying along the same course. The airplane behind is faster than the aircraft ahead, than the leading aircraft. So if you want to overtake this airplane, you're going to do it to the right. Go around them to the right, not to the left. Proper is to the right. And this guy, this pilot, has the right of way. So the pilot being overtaken has the right of way. And if you're the faster aircraft that is doing the overtaking, do it around to the right. And it makes sense why this aircraft would have the right of way. They have less visibility of the situation. You, back here, can obviously see them pretty well. They can't see backwards as well as you can see forward, so that's why they're given the right of way. It's your job to avoid the collision in this situation. Final approach and landing. So aircraft on final approach to land or while landing have the right of way over the other aircraft in flight or aircraft that are operating on the surface. This one's pretty self-explanatory. If you're coming into land and then you've got, say you got an aircraft down here on the surface, obviously the aircraft that is coming into land is going to have the right of way in this situation. They've got a lot going on. They're busy. They're trying to focus, and the aircraft that are on the ground, they can just sit there. Or maybe they're taxiing, but they can, it's not that hard. All right. So the aircraft coming into land is going to be the one given the right of way. There's another situation with final approach and landing. When two or more aircraft are airborne and they are both approaching the airport for the purpose of landing. So now you've got two airplanes that are coming to the same airport, same runway for landing. The aircraft at the lower altitude has the right of way. If we look at it here, it looks like this. You got two different aircraft heading to the same runway. The lower one has the right of way. All right, and that's because it's going to be much easier for this pilot to see this pilot than vice versa. If you're up above them, it's a little bit harder to see. Plus, you're kind of more in a position to land if you are a little bit lower. There is a little caveat with this one, though. If we continue reading, other pilots shall not take advantage of this rule to gain the right of way. What that means is if you're this blue aircraft here, you can't just be like, oh, I want to land first, and then just chop your power back, drop down, and get below this guy. Don't want to be doing stuff like that. All right. I don't know. That's just kind of a garbage move. So don't do it. If you're higher, let this person have the right of way that's lower than you for safety. Next, we've got aircraft blind spots. And this is going to come into play quite a bit when you're doing your flight training. You're out in the training area. It's congested, and there's going to be a lot of different types of aircraft kind of all in the same spot practicing maneuvers and whatnot, right? So there will probably be some low-wing aircraft, and there will probably be some high-wing aircraft. Low-wing aircraft obviously have blind spots below the pilot, right? Below the airplane is the blind spot because the wing's in the way. You're trying to look over, check for traffic, and you got this big old wing in the way. You can't see it, so you got a blind spot. High-wing aircraft, on the other hand, the wings are above the pilot. So with high-wing aircraft, so is the blind spot. This is kind of what we have depicted here is kind of a worst-case scenario type deal, where a low-wing aircraft is above a high-wing aircraft. So use that while you're up flying. If you're, and what I mean by use that is, let's say we're flying a low-wing aircraft. You want to make a turn or something, and you want to look outside and make sure it's safe to make your turn. When you do that, what you can do to make sure that it's safe is, let's say you want to make a turn to the right. You can bank to the right a little bit, look down below you because you're lowering that right wing, bank to the right a little bit, look down below you, make sure it's clear before you fully commit to that right turn. If it's clear, all right, let's continue the right turn, let's keep going. If it's not, let's go back wings level and get out of the way. Same thing, just vice versa if you're going to the left. However, on high-wing aircraft, say you're flying a Cessna 172 or something, you got a high wing, blind spots above you, what you actually want to do, let's take the same example. If we're turning to the right, what we actually want to do is do a slight turn in the opposite direction first to lift up that right wing and look above us. So you'd actually do a little bit of a left turn, left bank. You could look up above you now because you've moved your wing up, look up. If there's no traffic there, it looks clear, then go ahead and go back to the right and do your right turn. Okay. With low-wing aircraft, do a small turn in the same direction, check for traffic. In high-wing aircraft, do a slight turn or a slight bank in the opposite direction to look for traffic and then go back. That'll help keep it more safe for everybody. Checking your blind spots. Clearing procedures. Let's talk about before takeoff. Prior to taxiing onto a runway or a taxiway, pilots need to clear the area, scan for traffic approaching the airport or in the traffic pattern. We're taking this example, saying we're holding short of the runway. We want to scan and make sure nobody's coming in here to land. And also scanning for traffic in the pattern, which you probably should be able to do pretty well. Unless the pattern does go behind you, then it is a little bit difficult, right? If the pattern's on this side of the runway, it's a little bit more difficult to look behind you. But if it's over here, you can be checking downwind, you can be checking base, you can be checking final, the whole thing. But definitely check, make sure it looks clear before you go taxiing onto this runway. Next, we have climbs and descents. During climbs and descents, when you cannot see the airspace you are flying into, make gentle left and right turns to scan for traffic on either side. When you're climbing in these aircraft, what you're going to notice, if you haven't started your flight training or anything yet, is that when you pitch up, that nose is going to be pretty high. You're not going to be able to see super well in front of you or up over your nose because it's pitched up right where your vision's supposed to be, or right where your vision is. All right. So what they're saying here is make gentle left and right turns to kind of look ahead of you as you're doing climbs. And you don't have to do like constant left and right turns, but every once in a while, if you're doing a long climb or something, do a little gentle left turn, a little gentle right turn back on your heading, and that just helps you to see ahead. The other thing that can help you with clearing procedures during climbs is to do like a cruise climb. Instead of VX or VY, a lot of aircraft manufacturers will publish a cruise climb where you're not going to get up to your new altitude as quickly because your nose is going to be a little bit lower, but you'll have much better forward visibility. So you're climbing at a faster speed. Your airspeed is going to be faster. You're not climbing up to your altitude as quickly, but your airspeed is going to be faster because your nose is a little bit lower and you have better forward visibility. So that'll help as well. And we're scanning left and right, scanning ahead of us, making these gentle turns. Same thing with descents. Okay. With descents, you probably can see pretty good ahead of you, but you might not be able to see to the left or right as well. So just make gentle left and right turns to look for traffic. Entering the traffic pattern while descending should be avoided. Don't join the traffic pattern at too high of an altitude or above TPA, which is traffic pattern altitude, which you'll learn about in the flight maneuver section of the course. But don't enter the traffic pattern too high, because what you don't want to do is traffic patterns are busy places. So you don't want to enter too high and then descend down to the altitude that you want to be at, because there's probably going to be other aircraft in the traffic pattern, and then you're going to come down right on top of them, and it's just a dangerous situation. You should be at the proper traffic pattern altitude a few miles before you get to the airport, 3 to 5 miles or whatever. It depends on how fast your aircraft is. But make sure that you're down at the correct altitude before you're entering this traffic pattern, so that you're not descending into other aircraft that are already there. It is also best for pilots to enter the traffic pattern on a 45-degree angle to the downwind leg when possible. Okay. The reason for entering on a 45 to the downwind here is that you can see you've got this gives you the best visibility and the best chance for spotting other aircraft that are in the pattern. You can see the departure leg pretty well. You can see the crosswind. You can see downwind. You can see over here base and final. Want to continue studying this lesson? We've got 2 ways that you can do just that. You can do it through our website at wifiCFI.com or on our premium YouTube channel. On our website, we have private pilot to flight instructor courses that includes private pilot, instrument rating, commercial pilot, CFI, CFII, and MEI study courses filled with videos, podcasts, quizzes, check ride workbooks, practice FAA exams, downloadable check ride lesson plans for those CFI, CFII, and MEI check ride lesson plans, flight syllabi in our teaching courses, and a whole bunch more. If you only care about watching the videos and you don't care about those other study materials, you can just sign up for our YouTube premium channel, which is just the videos. We've got hundreds of training videos, again, private pilot all the way through CFI, CFII, and MEI for all topics. And all of the links for both our wifiCFI, studying this on our website, and YouTube are down in the video description below. So you can head down into that description, read about it, click the links, learn more, and we hope to see you soon again on either our website or continue studying here on YouTube.